Escape from Tarkov patch 14.5 brought a ton of stuff, but this video is specific on one specific change to the penetration of limbs. The line in the patch notes specifically stated, "Fix the damage calculation algorithm for limb penetration." So I guess that means impenetrable arms was a bug or unintended consequence? I have no idea, but it doesn't really matter. Before the patch, a player could tank the equivalent of a 50 BMG round from one of the mounted guns in the game. As long as their arm was covering their chest, they wouldn't die until they took enough damage to fall over just the damage spread for the whole body, which was 4 shots. But now, while the upper arms are still pretty tough, they aren't bulletproof anymore. So as usual, I gathered the motley crew together and we went and did some testing. Fortunately for all of you, this time we don't need to go into a really long video to go through it all. The changes are pretty straightforward and easy to understand and explain, especially if you've seen my previous videos. If you haven't seen those, I suggest you go check them out because it'll get you up to speed and make sure you don't misunderstand anything we're talking about here. Throw links down in the description so they're easy to find. Just go check them out, quick watch kind of, and then you'll be up to speed. And while you're down there, don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on any other of these kind of videos we do when BSG changes stuff. YouTube's been kind of weird lately with how it recommends stuff. So the more you tell YouTube you like a channel, whether it's mine or somebody else's, the more likely it is to recommend it. So the like button, subscribe, all that's super important for that. Now, on top of the upper arm changes, they also changed how other limbs deal with penetration as well. And this change, while second to the upper arm as far as importance is concerned, is still hugely important. But we'll get into that after the start of the show. So the testing was pretty straightforward. We grabbed a ton of ammo and we started shooting. What we came up with was pretty simple. The lowest pen ammo we could get to penetrate the upper arm was 53 pen. This was 5.56 M995. Now, one issue is that the next lowest pen ammo in the whole arsenal we have is 48 pen. There is no 49, 50, 51, 52 pen ammo. So we couldn't reliably test those penetrations. Personally, I think the limit is actually set to 50 penetration, but I can't prove that without a doubt, at least not in my mind. So as a matter of fact, for this whole video, we're gonna stick with 53 as the base on the testing. So what this means is that any ammo at 48 pen and below still will not get through the upper arms. This essentially makes it like class 6 armor, or very close to it. And as of this video, there are only 13 ammos that will go through the upper arm, not including the mounted gun. So we'll go over the handy wiki, and I just so happen to have them sorted and pulled up. So boys, basically what this boils down to is you got 338 Lapua Magnum AP, 13 ammos, not including the mounted gun ammos, because whatever. M993, 7.62x54 RBS, M61, PPBS, which is the Eagle Nick, SNB, MAIP, which is your AK ammo, 7.62x39, SSAP, which is really high-end M4 ammo, 5.56. Then you've got RBT, another 54 R round, 5.45 BS, 9x39 BP, which is the Val and the VSS ammo, APSX, which is kind of a big deal with what that gun is, and then, like we said, 9.95. But like Blackout AP, SP6, SIG Hybrid, 7.62x39 BP, none of those are going to go through the arm. Now, in addition to this, penetration and damage is also reduced after going through the arm. So the bullet hits the arm, it comes out the other side, whether it hits the limb or go to somebody else, it is reduced in penetration and damage. The amount is really hard for us to test, at least in any sane amount of time. But we did some simple catching of bullets with different armors, and you could tell that, for example, the higher pen ammos that were getting stopped by class 5 that never would be, the 5 plate was catching them more than they should have. You know, it wasn't like 1 in 100 shots, it was like half the time. You know, M61 would be stopped by a level 5 plate, which shows you that it's reducing, but how much, it's really hard to say. And then if we shot through the limb into a player's body part, we could see damage was smaller than it was supposed to be, which it kind of bounced around a little bit. So again, not 100% sure how much. I just know it's reduced. This isn't a big deal because most of the time when you get shot through the limb, all you're going to hit is class 3 airmid, and it's not reduced enough for that to matter. Whatever ammo that is still going to continue through. That's assuming it's even hitting armor. It's hitting your thorax or something and not hitting your armor. So it's not really all that much of a difference in change. It doesn't matter that much, at least compared to what it was before. Overall, I think it's a good change, but it's not really all that significant of a change from prior to 14.5. The arms for all purposes are pretty much impenetrable like before, simply because the ammos that can get through the arm are very rare and hard to find, and you're not going to be using them all that much. But what this does, this whole scenario, emphasizes how important the rest of the limb penetration changes are. Now, the way Tarkov used to work is your limbs, your legs, even your upper arms, and your forearms, your lower arms, they would stop ammo at 35 pen. 35 pen could not penetrate. It would just stop when it hit. Or I'm sorry, 35 could, but anything under 35 couldn't. 35 was the cutoff point. This has now been lowered to 20 pen. Now that might not seem like all that big of a deal, but let me explain to you why it is. You guys have seen this before if you saw my other videos, same kind of picture. When you see it, when a PMC is facing you and looking at you, their arms are covering a huge part of their body. So I'll just go ahead and turn it on real quick. You can kind of see here's a rough representation of the arm hitboxes that are actually covering the torso. This is extra armor, and it was for anything under 35 pen. Now being at 20 pen, this gives you a huge chance to get through this with most of the ammos in the game now, at least most of the rifle and pistol ammos. All right, yeah, so 20 can get through there. So the impact this is going to have is primarily towards early wipe, the first month or so, and anybody who doesn't play the game like a streamer or plays a lot and doesn't have access to high-end ammo. Prior to this, rounds like 5.56, 8.55, 5.45 PS, 7.62x39 FMJ, and even 9mm PST GZH will all go through the arms, and they wouldn't before. Previously, because of this, that ammo not going through there, it extended your TTKs, especially on well-placed shots. It made players feel very tanky, especially because of how much arms reduce damage. So this should drastically reduce the TTK for well-placed shots on people on the torso because the limbs aren't stopping them like they used to. So that's pretty much it. To summarize, simply put, the upper arms are class 6 armor or close to it, and the rest of the limbs act like class 2.5 armor or kind of wore out class 3, depending on how you want to look at it. So we'll leave her there. As always, I appreciate you guys checking out the content. Don't forget to hit that like button. I figure if you're this far into the video, you probably like it and helps me out a ton. We'll wrap her up there. Best of luck in your raids, and we'll see you in Tarkov.